can't do anything now. So, it's improved it a little bit. Sorry, you okay? How many stretches this time? Okay. Not as many as last time. So, crocodile headline. Also, yesterday morning, when we were following lion, followed them past a dam called Avoca Dam. And there were about 4 or 5 hippo in that dam. We've had some questions about hippos and crocs here. And now that I've seen them, I know where some of them are. Of course, the croc might stay there. Might drop it, might have to go to another dam. Might end up going back to the river or something. That's drainage lines, because they know the drainage line up the drainage line from, and it's not going to cross land like this. If anything, it's going to go down the drainage line, find the river that the drainage line spills into, which in this case is the Timbavati River, and then maybe find some pools in the Timbavati River if that dam starts here. It would have been floods during the time when those drainage lines were flowing. And what happens is when those drainage lines are flowing, you get a lot of catfish, particularly the catfish. They start making their way up these streams, up these drainage lines, to find water pools, mud wallows, and things, because they can survive under the mud for the 6 to 9 months of the dry season. Lungfish as well. And the crocs follow them, and they just feed on cash for a while. I've seen crocs sitting at weirs or places where there are rapids, where crocs cause little waterfalls or little rapids, and the crocs just sit there with their mouths open, and the fish just snap them as they jump through the waterfalls going upstream, swimming through the crocs' mouths. Hippo, on the other hand, will cross land. They will, especially now, they need a lot of grazing at night. They are nocturnal, and they require a lot of grass to maintain that body. Anything else, they only munch on grass. And the drier it gets, the further they have to walk. Oh, what's that in the road? It's like Kudu way up ahead. Might be a bit far for. No, it's a waterbuck. I started to doubt myself when I saw the ears weren't as big. It's a waterbuck. Yeah, we're going to see if we can get closer to her. A waterbuck. And invariably there will be others, because they're not really solitary. The bulls might be, but the cows will be in small family groups, cows and calves. When the grasses start losing their nutritional value, they have to cover it and set walls. So they don't have to walk 20 kilometers in a loop to get back to their water the next day. They can walk 20 kilometers in the day or a couple of days there, feed on the grasses there, and move on to another one. He's standing just here. Just wait for the road. Disappeared. Out and about. They don't hibernate, so they are out and about. There are places where it gets very, very cold and they can't find insects, and they go into. Okay, I guess for argument's sake we can call it hibernation, but it's not true hibernation. I know some caves, the cradle of humankind, that are 60 feet underground, where there are colonies of bats. They each store about 2 grams of fat for the winter. They become quite active in the caves. They never really sort of hibernate. They still move around a bit. They interact. But if they were forced to fly, they would burn up so much of that fat that they wouldn't last the winter. It's quite critical when it comes to bats. But the bats that we have here are still active at the moment. I think to make up for a lower availability of food, they're starting to fly earlier. They're starting to fly just around sunset, before it's even dark. But there are also still mosquitoes. There's still a lot of insects around, actually. Yeah, very much so, because it's late rain. Aha, leopard tracks. This cat's going to be somewhere around this dam. Let's see the tracks on the other side. I can see some bugger boys, some buffalo flying on the other side. I'm going to have to go further to see them because the sun is very bright, reflecting off the water. Very, very bright. Hello, Ellen. Sending an email in from Illinois. I think this might be Ellen Berger from Rush College School. 3 big boys. Hello, boys. Are you communing with the crocodile? We're not going to get it until we move past this light of the sun. And that because of the sun, I can't see anything else glaring at me from the water. But there, that might be nice once we get to the marula tree up here. No, the shade's behind us. Well, I can go. No, I was going to stop at the tree because they're moving off and I wanted reflections, but I can just lean the antenna down this way. Oh, that's better. We haven't got this glare. Anyway, Ellen was asking about leopards, funny enough. I guess, Ellen, you weren't with us when we had those leopards, although we didn't have them for very long because they both times we saw leopard, they moved into a no signal area, and then I had to spend time with them to be able to get some footage of them. But there's a very healthy population of leopard. We have the one leopard that we're going to be trying to find a lot is a female called Malawan, or they know her as the Malawan female. And her territory encompasses our camp and the area that our camp is in. And she's got a couple of youngsters, and she's also got a youngster from one of her previous litters that hang around her. We saw her a few days ago. And there, of course, all the male leopards. We see a couple of tracks of males. But we have to wait until we find them so that we can start learning them and their families and their relationships to each other. It's just really, really thick right now, and the density of this bush, we probably drive past leopard on several occasions. But being such slight cats, they're not very tall. They just have to sit in the grasses and they could be 2 feet off the road. We wouldn't know that they were there. The reason why we're seeing buffalo quite a lot, partly because there are a lot of buffalo, but also because they're just these large dark animals that tend to stand above the grasses. They tend to stick out, same as elephant when we do see them. But it's very hard to find animals at the moment. It's probably the thickest I've seen the bush in 30 years, I have to be honest. So that, coupled with the late rains that's keeping it green, it's just one of those things. It's going to take a while to thin out. The leaves are starting to fall. Trees are starting to open up. Bush is starting to open up. Anyway, these are 3 old bull buffalo. We regard them as senile old bulls who no longer want to bother with the with the workings and goings on of the herd. Machination. Yes, that too. Lots of fish in this dam. And they select for themselves a nice water hole and some mud and some grass and some peace and quiet in their lives, and hope that the lion don't disturb them, or the humans for that matter. I think 2 of these buffalo, the 2 that I found up there the other day, was robbed, and I chased them when I sneezed. So where's this reptile? I imagine he would be out and sunning himself somewhere. I must be at the top end. What's that in the tree there?
Yeah, right back there. You see it? It's straight
At the back of the dam?
Yeah.
Maybe.
You see this tree that's hanging over the water?
Yeah.
Directly behind that branch, you see that in the tree in the middle. You see it there? Right on the water's edge, the big stick.
Oh, I see, the grey heron. I'm looking at a horizontal branch and maybe a leopard or something. It's a grey heron. A couple of pearl-breasted swallows skimming the water for RC. I think they're pearl-breasted, maybe white. No, they're not white. There's only one pale white, or there are 2, but these are the pearl-breasted swallows, I'm sure. All the Europeans have gone back. Heron's preening, probably been catching things. And there goes a teal or a duck. I wonder if it's going to come around and land. Looks like it might. That'll be exciting because it's not a goose. Here it comes, here it comes. Oh, please land on the water for me. Wow. Maybe going to another pan. Looked like it could have been an African black duck. Several red-billed oxpeckers and their young on this sitting buffalo still.
That's Pretty lazy Sunday.
His name is Sitting Buffalo. Yaki Sitting Buffalo. Look at that stretch. Oh, I love it when they do that. It's like a bull. Well, it is a bull. It's like that classic picture of a bull. Yeah. Stretches and sort of stretches his neck to exercise that nuchal muscle a bit. The nuchal muscle being that very heavy muscle above the shoulders that helps to carry the weight of the neck, tendons, and so big he can hardly scratch properly. Thirsty boy. This crocodile's not big enough to take this buffalo. I saw this crocodile the other day. Yeah. Big enough to take a small impala. No. Apart from the fact that I think this crocodile is mostly feeding on the fish in this dam. Yeah. Okay, we've got to move on. Daylight is... Okay, let's do that.
Shuffle on.
Uh-huh.
Do you know how much buffalo drink?
Is that a joke? 12.376 litres
Per hour?
per day. Yes, exactly 12.376. Was it 368?
I think it's 475 to be honest.
Okay. Not a milliliter more or less.
No, it's exact. Milliliter more, it's something like that has to recover.
Yeah, then it's in danger of aqua toxicity. Water toxicity.
It's come down at full force and feast on buffalo. Let's try and find something for the light guys.
Yeah, especially while we've got really lovely light. He heard you.
Thanks to that. He's a monocle.
Yeah, he is. He's quite an ancient chap. There are 3 in Yaki at Lawan Dam. Oops. Elephant. Anything really. It's a lucky thing. Yeah. Although if we see too many elephants, we never get anywhere going to see anything else. I can get stuck with elephants. When the car doesn't work and nothing works, just veg. So we head south just where I saw some tracks earlier today. See if they've moved much. Any moment now we're going to find something. Any moment now. Any day now. Angie wants to know if there are any animals that I'm scared of or scared that they will attack the vehicle. Yes, only one, Angie, only one. And it's not really indigenous, but they do occur here. It's known as Homo sapiens. The only animal I'm afraid of is the human being. Other than that, no, I'm quite confident, I guess is the word. I'm quite confident that my knowledge and experience and passion for all of these animals is sufficient to. Well, I'm just not afraid of them because I know them. I know of them. I know how unpredictable they can be. I know what they are capable of. But I also know that it's not really in their nature to attack, and that there has to be something really, really wrong if an animal does attack. You know, I can understand fear from people who come from the city. They don't know what exists here. In fact, sometimes people can be quite bold and fearless as a result of not knowing what there is to be afraid of, which can be a person's undoing, a form of ignorance. And that can be one of the biggest dangers to an individual, is not knowing what you're doing and not knowing anything about the animals and not being afraid. And that can cause all sorts of untold things. I believe I know how to behave with these animals, that I don't encroach on their safety zone, their danger zone. That proximity to an animal that is the fight zone. You get the flight zone and this is the fight zone. The animal is either going to fight or flight. It's either going to go away or it's going to attack. Attack is sometimes the best form of defense. And the main idea is to be sure that you don't ever get into an animal's face or into its space that you're going to entice or you're going to it's going to need to resort to attack. Now, there are two very distinct differences between approaching an animal and allowing an animal to approach us in the vehicle. Elephants are a perfect example here. Lion too, for that matter. And maybe you've been with us on the past couple of drives when I've had elephant, and I've had them standing right here at the vehicle, at the jigger. Right, the big bull was virtually touching us, and the big female was standing right next to Rob the other day. So we've had some very, very close encounters, but under the circumstances, I have allowed them to get close to me. There's no way that I would even dare to drive the vehicle that close to them, because that'll definitely elicit a completely different reaction altogether. And that is when aggression can come out. we're in this round-leaf teak wood here. Amongst all this round-leaf teak that the elephants are feeding on quite a bit of late, because going into the dry season, a lot of the nutrients in this round-leaf teak, and I'll show you some branches perhaps that will show you how the elephants feed on it. So they're getting to the bark of very thin branches. They also prevent a lot of this teak from getting maturing, from reaching full tree status. They utilize this teak in stands, very much like they do with mapani up in the north. And they're constantly cropping it each year, so every year it just recomposes from the base and makes more stems, and those stems, when they reach 2 or 3 years old, are the ones that they're picking and chewing all the bark off. There's quite a bit of it in this part of the reserve. A lot of fresh elephant tracks on the road. With my tyre tracks from this morning, I came across here this morning on my way back after we lost signal. Did we find them? Thank you. Excuse me. Gosh, yawning. I don't know why. Of course, the fact that there are fresh elephant tracks and activity here doesn't mean that there aren't any other animals. There bound to be other animals around. It's one of those days. They're making me work for my money. Checking if radio still works for me.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
What's unusual is that they only eat the bark from the first fork down. This one left a few inches. But you can see this is where the bark ends, up here. And this is where the bark has been stripped. So the elephant has broken this off and he's put it in his mouth, and as he chews,